Rebecca Geometry, Construction 17. So Construction 17 is to construct a fourth proportional when you are given the first three lines. So visually, so we can get a hold of what we're doing here. If you remember, a fourth proportional looks like this. We have A is to B as C is to D. And I'll be marking the fourth proportional in blue so that way we can tell the difference. These are our given lines A, B, and C, and we're going to be doing this geometrically. Also, if you remember from our proportion problems, a fourth proportional can be drawn with transversals through a parallel line. So let's say we have a single point and we have transversal here, and then we have two parallel lines, right? This could be section A, B, C, and then over here, this would be section D, or the fourth proportional. And this is what we're going to construct with these three given lines. So, first thing we're going to do is, we'll mark this in black. First thing we're going to do is we're going to construct two transversals. And they're going to be a varying, we just got to make sure that they're long enough to fit these three lines on them. So, and it can be at any angle I want. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to draw two transversals, or you can think of it like drawing two legs, right? There's one, and we'll make this a pretty wide angle. There's two. Right? So I've drawn those two legs. Now, what I need to do is I need to section off my segments. So I'm going to go ahead and mark off A and B on one side. So I'll measure the length of A here. And I go to the point and I mark off length A. All right, then I'm going to mark off length B. And then at the end of A, I'll mark the distance of B. So, first step, draw two legs. Then we want to start marking off our distances. So here we can see that this is A and this is B. And I've got the first two pieces of that fourth proportional drawing. Now I need to mark off length C. So I go back over here and I'm going to measure length C. Oh, a little too short. There we go. Measure length C, and then from the same point, I'm going to mark off length C. I'll go ahead and mark that so you guys can see what's happening here. So there we go. We've got the first three parts. Now all I have to do is I have to get part D. Well, the way I'm going to do that is I have to get the two parallel lines. So first I'm going to construct the first line, which is going to go through the end of A and the end of C. So I'll go ahead and draw that first parallel. Right there. Great. Now, in order to make the second parallel line, all I have to do is an angle reconstruction of either the left or right side. I'll go ahead and do the right side. So I'm going to do an angle reconstruction on this angle. And if you remember the way that we copy an angle, we put the sharp end on the vertex of the angle. And I'm going to put an arc through both the top and the bottom of the angle. With my compass at that same length, I then go to where I'm going to reconstruct the angle. I do the same thing, arc above, arc below. Then, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my compass, I'm going to measure the distance between these two intersections. So, there we go, perfect. So I mark off that distance, then I go down here, and I'm going to mark off the equivalent distance here. Alright, so now I've got 2 points, the end of line B and this line, to draw my parallel. So now what I do is I'm going to line this up. And the one I've drawn is a little bit large, so I'm going to need to extend this line. So I'm going to need to extend both of these lines. So there's that, and I'll extend the black line. There. And where these 2 points meet is the end of section D. So this line I can now mark as D, or the fourth proportional. If I can spell proportional correctly. All right, and that's how we construct a fourth proportional. That's construction 17. So remember, draw two legs, mark off A, B, and C. From there, connect the ends of the top two lines, then do angle reconstruction to construct a second parallel line, and then you've got your fourth proportional. Abeka Geometry Construction 19. This is going to be constructing a mean proportional between two given lines. So they're giving us A and C, and we have to find the middle portion. And if you'll remember, mean proportional looks like this. We have A is to B as B is to C, and the missing letter that we're looking for here is B. All right, so we have to figure out how to construct B. Now, if you remember, if we have the following right triangle, and there's an altitude right here, this altitude is the mean proportional in between the two segments. So from here to here, I have segment A. From here to here, I have segment C. And right there in the middle, in green, we'll make it green now, this would be segment B. And that's how we could get that proportion. The problem is, how do I construct this perfectly right triangle? Well, if you remember our section on angles, if we have an angle inscribed in a circle to where this is the end of a circle, and where this line is the diameter, so let's say if we have this whole circle, if A and C make the diameter of the circle, then this is definitely a right angle. So that's going to be the key to this. We're going to need to construct a right angle inscribed in a circle or a semicircle. So let's get started on the construction. The first step is going to be to draw a straight line that is longer than A and C. So that way I can mark off both of those lengths on this line. Then I'm going to mark off lengths A and C. So what I'm doing is I'm building the bottom of this triangle first. So I set my compass for length A. Whoop, too long. Set my compass for length A, mark the distance. I go here, and I mark the distance of A. Then I'm going to set my compass for length C. I will mark the distance, and then I mark that distance down here. So now I've got length A right here and length C right here. And one good important thing to do is, while you're doing this, make sure you mark the section where A ends and C begins. You'll see why, because this is going to get a little confusing. So now, once I've got the endpoints of A and C, I need to create a circle, right? So I can get that right angle in there. The way I'm going to do that is I'm going to mark the center of the circle. So if this is my diameter, I have to bisect this line to get the center. So let's just go ahead and do our line bisector. So I do an arc below, arc above, go to the other end, arc above, arc below. Now, I'm going to mark the center of the circle. I do not need to draw the entire line here. All I need to do is line up my top point, line up my bottom point, and then I need to mark the center of the circle. So I'll go ahead and I'll do that in blue so I don't get confused. So that is the center of the circle. Once I have the center of the circle, I need to construct at minimum just the top circle. So I'm not going to construct the whole circle, I just need to construct the top half of the circle. So I put my sharp end on the center of the circle, I set my compass for one end to be the radius, and then perfect. There we go. Now I've created my semicircle. Now the question is, how do I get length B? Well, the great thing about this triangle is length B is going to have to be the altitude from in between A and C. So now all I have to do is I have to construct a perpendicular on a line from a point on the line, which is another one we've already done. So all I have to do to get length B is construct a perpendicular at this point right here. So I put my sharp end in between line A and C. Then I'm going to shorten my compass. Remember, I have to mark an equal distance to the right, to the left, and an equal distance away on the right. So now that I've got those 2 points, which I'm going to mark now so I don't lose them, So now that I've got those 2 points, I can use those to construct the perpendicular. So just like my line bisector, I'm going to do arc above, arc below, and here, mark arc above and arc below. Now all I have to do is line these 3 points up. 1, 2, and 3. And now I have figured out length B, and I've got my mean proportional, which is the altitude. So I draw this from here up to the edge of the circle. I've now got length B, and then to finish off the construction, we're going to complete the right triangle. So I connect the left end with that point and the right end with that point. Now I've got a right angle and a mean proportional in between the 2 legs. That is construction 19. If you guys have any questions, let me know on Moodle, and I will see you in class.